Hello everybody, my name is Graham Elwood. You are watching the Political Vigilante. Today is April 24th, which is Armenian Genocide Remembrance Day. What is the Armenian Genocide? Basically, the Turkish, at the time called the Ottoman Empire in World War I, committed a systematic genocide of the Armenian people in the neighborhood of 1.5 to 2 million people. And April 24th has since been acknowledged as Remembrance Day for the Armenian Genocide. Why is this significant? Because the United States government will not recognize the Armenian Genocide. There's another country that doesn't recognize it. I'm going to get to that in a second. So the American government does not recognize the Armenian Genocide. You want to know why? Because we have military bases in Turkey. We have military bases in Turkey. It's a strategic place for us in the Middle East so that we can, wreak havoc, getting oil. Turkey, the American bases, these are the same bases that Serena Shim, when she uncovered that we were funneling ISIS through these U.S. bases in Turkey to get into Syria. Because Assad wouldn't let us bring a pipeline across his country, she was killed for that. She was a journalist that was killed. I've heard no outcry. I don't see a lot of this covered by CNN or MSNBC. That story never. The Armenian Genocide, rarely. This was in the LA Times online today because thousands take to LA streets to demand recognition for the Armenian Genocide. This came out 6:35 p.m., a little less than 2.5 hours ago. Los Angeles has a huge Armenian community. Glendale is a big Armenian community. And if you watch the Jimmy Dore show, Arno, his producer, is Armenian. As is his girlfriend, Ruby, who they both work on the show. So this is a big deal. Not just for progressives or for fans of the Jimmy Dore show, but it should be a big deal for anybody because I'm not Armenian. I don't need to be Armenian to know that this is wrong. It's not recognized. It's not recognized by the United States government. Obama, when he was getting ready to run for president in like 2007, went to all these Armenian churches, because most Armenians are Christians, and said, and he said it in interviews, when he became president, he stopped using the term genocide. Atrocities. The Turkish government says, these are just bad things happen in war. No. They systematically went after the Armenians in a genocide. It was so clear-cut and planned that the Nazis actually they said, we looked at what the Turks did to the Armenians and we used that same model, that same system for the Holocaust of the Jews in World War II. Israel is the second country that won't recognize the Armenian Genocide. Israel will not recognize the Armenian Genocide. Does that make me anti-Semitic for being critical of the Israeli government? No. Just like Bernie Sanders said on the Fox News town hall, being critical of a right-wing Israeli government does not make you anti-Semitic. Bernie Sanders said that. So here's what happened in Los Angeles today. They march every April 24th, and it's one of those things I'm proud to live in this city. It's a very diverse city, and I like that stuff like this is brought to people's attention because if you don't live in it, there's not a lot of Armenians in other parts of the United States, so you might not even be aware of this. Again, that's what this show is about, is bringing awareness to things that people don't know about. And that whole identity politics crap, it ain't right. I don't need to be Armenian to speak about this. Right? If it was the reverse, if the Armenians committed a bunch of genocide against the Turks and they were denying it, I would talk about that, the Turkish genocide, but that's not what happened. The Turks slaughtered the Armenians and they won't acknowledge it. It's just such a stupid, petty thing to not acknowledge. Like, Don't call yourself a religious person, a Muslim, a Christian, whatever, if you can't acknowledge. You just got to acknowledge this. Can you imagine if the United States government said, we never had slavery? No. Africans came here on their own and we gave them jobs working on the plantations. It wasn't slavery. I mean, they weren't paid great wages, but it wasn't slavery. We didn't take Native Americans' land. They just didn't want to live there anymore. And so we was like, oh, no one's going to live here. Well, I guess we'll take it. And they were like, hey, could we live on reservations? We want to walk the Trail of Tears and leave our sovereign land to live in reservations. Well, we never stole their land. Never happened. Can you imagine that? Thousands of people marched through the streets of Los Angeles on Wednesday to demand that the century-old killings of 1.5 million Armenians officially be recognized as a genocide. This is from the LA Times article, this next segment. More than 40 states, it actually is 49 states, and I'll show you a clip from another article in a sec, including California, several countries have recognized the mass killings at the hands of the Ottoman Empire as a genocide, but for years the Turkish government has refused to acknowledge it, and for almost as many years the U.S. government has done the same, stopping short by calling the deaths an atrocity. The state of California that I live in recognizes it, but the federal government won't. Obama promised it to the Armenian people to get their vote, and he didn't do it. Here's another article. U.S. owes Armenia full recognition of genocide. This is in the Lowell Sun. It came out about 8 days ago. This is from that article. That this genocide has yet to be formally recognized by the United States government in this free democracy is shameful, whereas 49 out of 50 states have done so. More than 30 nations around the world have recognized this. France, Germany, the country that committed an atrocity, they recognize the Armenian genocide. There's Turkish scholars that have even come forward and said it's wrong that the Turkish government won't recognize this. There's Israeli scholars that have come forward and said, I've done videos on this every year on the 24th. There's Israeli scholars that have come forward and said it's not right, that Israel won't acknowledge this. It just seems like such a petty, stupid crybaby. We're not going to acknowledge it. Just acknowledge it. What is the harm in acknowledging this? Are you just so arrogant? You're so used to killing journalists that you just why recognize this? Israel also went through a Holocaust and also not come forward to recognize the Armenian genocide. This is the most unforgivable one. That Israel won't recognize this. And it's all about oil and geopolitical nonsense in the Middle East. So I don't want to hear, the Israeli government, you have no moral authority if you won't recognize this. You have none. You have no moral authority. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. If you're pro-Israel, then this should be at the top of your list. If you're about Israeli, the Nazi Holocaust, remembering that as well we should. Don't tell me we never again, and then you won't recognize this one. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Armenia, first nation to adopt Christianity in 301 AD, Christian nation. We won't recognize it? Come on, Mike Pence. You're such a big Christian. I know, take a break. Take a break from shocking the gay out of people and recognize that a Christian country was the victim of a genocide. Fox News, you're going to talk about this? You're all Christian, Bible, then you should be talking about this. Israel's refusal to recognize the Armenian genocide is indefensible. Both Armenians and Jews have been the victims of premeditated mass murder. That's what a genocide is. It's premeditated mass murder. What the Turkish government is claiming is, oh, hey, bad things happened in war. No. It was premeditated. They systematically went after the Armenians in the same way the Germans went after the Jews. And the Israeli government won't acknowledge the Armenian genocide, which is indefensible. That's a fine word to use. The Israeli government must put justice before political expediency and call the crime by its name. Yossi Melman. That came out today. Thank you for watching The Political Vigilante. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification button, like the videos, positive comments. If you're going to be troll, I'm going to just erase and block you, so just don't even waste your time. Support the show at patreon.com/GrahamElwood so I can cover more of this stuff that the mainstream media. That's what I do this. I want to get to the truth. I want the truth. I don't give a shit what it is. I want the truth. I don't care if it's uncomfortable for me to talk about. I don't care if it pisses people off. I want the truth. The Armenian genocide happened. The United States and Israeli government won't recognize it, and that is complete 100% bullshit. Shave your knuckles for justice. Boom! Make Gotham great again. My name is Graham Elwood. Thanks for watching.